Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Shadow Artist Experiment. As always, with you is your host, me, Josh Bell, and the lovely Gabby Creery. So, I want to start off by saying that this podcast is jinxed today. This is the third take we've done of it.
We always do it on the first take.
We always do it on the first take. So
this is literally take 3.
So the first time, we literally the phone did something weird where it did little pinwheel and then stopped. And we've been watching it record. I want to state that we've been watching it record only to check the video and only have 3 seconds. Now, the second time we had to let somebody in, which we were just doing the intros.
We're over 3 seconds. We're at 45 right now.
I know,
so we're already ahead.
We're already ahead of what we've recorded. So, yeah.
Literally on a roll.
We're on a roll.
We are on a roll.
So, gosh, it's so funny because now I have to go back and redo everything that we've already said. So
check-ins.
Check-ins. Okay. Ooh, you did it. You were ooh.
I'm on it. It's take 3. I can do this.
Gabby's hosting this show, stealing it from me, stealing the spotlight, Gabby.
Yeah. Well,
always. Gabby's always. Look at that. She literally had to tell everyone about her scarf to make sure point it out to show everyone.
It blew on me. As we started, it literally blew on me. I can take the scarf off now, but it did blow on me.
I love your scarf, Gabby. I really do.
It's got a bango kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
I like it too.
So we're once again out here in on the stoop to Gabby.
We're stupid.
I love it. I love being out here, though.
You do love being out here. The whole neighborhood has literally come by. It's been a virtual
parade of people.
And dogs.
Puppies. Parade of people and puppies.
It has been a pet parade.
Well,
Alpha is very happy.
He is very happy, and he's actually quiet right now. During the first take, he was very much not happy and very much whiny. So
now he's I'm over it. I'm okay. I'm chill.
Contented.
I'm gonna let them come to me now.
Yeah. So
let those puppies come to me.
Gabby, let's start with you with check-ins this time.
Oh boy. Really?
Yeah, because I always start.
But
I started the last time.
You have better check-in stuff than I do, I have to say this time.
Okay, so let's just go down the line then. Okay, so we'll start with walking.
Oh, did you hold? You don't have a ring on your check-in. I just checked in.
We'll get to that.
We will get to that.
Okay, so walking.
Dog, check.
Okay.
Every day this week.
Abstinence. She's doing
always.
Well.
Still have savings, still got money in the bank, still.
Ooh, listen guys. Jersey City Sound!
My abstinence is we were discussing that I've gotten to the point with abstinence that maybe life is abstinence for me. That I will.
No, life is an artist state, and artist states have sex.
Do they?
Well, you're supposed to do it for an hour by yourself, so.
No.
Seems like a lot of work.
At no point has it ever taken an hour, nor would I that's kind of the by yourself part is that you're done in 5.
Yeah, exactly. Or 3 minutes, 50 seconds.
Have you timed it?
No.
Oh, I was like, wow! I'd never thought to.
Well,
I thought
of that old South Park episode with 350. That's what came to mind.
Oh, I don't know. I've never watched South Park.
Where the Loch Ness, it's so silly. It's so silly because it's literally something about the Loch Ness monster always asking chef's parents for $3.50.
Oh.
$3.50.
Which has absolutely. Well, that is.
That's where $3.50 comes from.
Okay.
So then we are on to counting. For Gabby.
No, you have not done it.
Morning pages.
Little bit, not enough.
So here's a question we didn't ask last time. How are you going to do better next week? Wait, we missed one. But meditation.
What I have done is meditation. This whole podcast is going to be. Remember, I told you all about that already, Josh.
I will remember when you tell me about it again this time.
I have been trying out Tonglen.
Tonglen, Gabby. What's that?
What's that?
we're gonna have a lot of fun, guys. It may seem like we're being silly and over the top, but like, it's either be silly over the top or be super stressed about having to do this over again. And I think we're handling it pretty well.
That's our energy. We just, obstacle. What obstacle?
What
Tonglen,
obstacle?
What Tonglen? So Tonglen is
Okay.
you breathe suffering in.
What am I suffering?
Okay.
Let's do this. Just walk us through one.
It's so incredibly simple. Okay. So suffering can be any form of suffering. It can be your own suffering. It can be a suffering, and generally speaking, it is to send relief out to others. So to begin, you can think of you were saying Appa.
I did say Appa last time.
Appa's suffering over
Because he's tied up right now. He hates being tied up. He's actually been very
he does
well.
not appear to be suffering at all.
He's not. He was.
I gotta say,
it's because we did the Tonglen last time. We gave him relief.
Relieved it.
We sent him relief. Actually, he literally, since the first podcast, I walked him around the block and he did all of his business. So he's like,
he's done.
He's good.
He's like, and he's outside and he's people watching. He is not suffering at the moment. So you imagine somebody that is suffering, and
how about our exes?
That's exactly what. Okay. All right. So when I first started Tonglen, I was like I started it towards my children. Of course I can send, and you send relief to them. And so I'm thinking, envisioning my children and their suffering and sending relief out to them. And then of course the one person in the world comes to mind that you're like, oh, I will never, ever, 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 never, ever send them relief. Because ultimately I want them to suffer painfully for the rest of their lives.
Because Gabby's a mean bitch.
Because I am. Hateful mean bitch.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay.
I gotta do this anyway.
So I leaned into it. And then it was like the suffering of a narcissist and going there. And then it was the suffering of addicts and addiction and sending relief out. And then you pile on. So it's not just that narcissist, but it's all narcissists.
Okay.
And then it brought me to addiction, and not just that one addict, but addicts in general. I'm breathing that suffering in and sending relief out for addiction.
So how do you feel when you get done with it? Do you feel really like, or do you feel?
I think it was incredibly empowering, and I did feel like so when you do tapping.
Yeah.
And a lot of different meditation practices is to identify the pain behind the pain.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, hatred, animosity, that meanness, that cruelty, that is toxic as shit. Not to, and ultimately, who knows whether I actually sent relief to addicts or narcissists or anybody. But what I was able to do is release that toxic shit inside of me. And that does actually make the world a better place.
It does.
For me to be less toxic.
See, that's the one thing I always agree with is like, don't try to fix the world until you can fix yourself. And the reason why I believe that is because the only way that you're going to make a change is by living it and showing people the change, not telling them, not like, this is the thing about like, I have no problem with people who choose to be vegans. I have a problem with people who tell me how wrong it is to eat the way I eat. And this is what it comes down to is like, if like, I'm not friends at the moment with anybody who's like very, very vegan. Like I have some who are vegetarians. I have a lot of people who just eat chicken. But like for the most part, I don't. But when I was, I noticed that I would eat less meat. I would eat, I actually was a vegetarian for quite some time because of the friends that I had. And that's that kind of living by example and like leading by example. And that was more effective for me and is more effective for the people around you. Like when we're talking spirituality as a whole, I feel like you can't change anyone's mind, but you can help the people who already think the way you do, or who like work with you.
In terms of relieving suffering. So getting behind what causes addiction and the pain behind it, and the pain that addiction creates, and looking at that deeply, and then sending relief out to that one person I was like, oh my God, I want that person to suffer. Of course I'm never sending relief to them. And then going past that and sending relief, ultimately, and if you ask yourself, okay, imagine that this actually did work, and every narcissist or addict in the world got some measure of relief, then that's actually a really fucking good thing.
Yeah.
And if the only thing that happened was I was able to let go of some of the toxic energy that I've been holding on to was released, then that's a damn good thing.
Well, and also some of that,
and ultimately that's what it's all about. It's
yeah, and also some of those behaviors, like even though like because I'm assuming that when you go through this, like let's say you're going through addiction, or you're going through like let's say alcoholism and things like this, it also like gets rid of those like addictive tendencies, like helps you purge those tendencies.
The interesting thing is I would start off with like my mom, and then I would go to motherhood, and it would branch out, and like I said, addiction would branch out, but then it would take me back to myself and see my own addictions.
Yeah.
My own codependency, my own people pleasing, and then you'd branch out from that. So people pleasers in general, sending relief, breathing that side, because that's the suffering I truly understand. Because I've lived it. Yeah. I understand the suffering behind people pleasing because I've lived it, and codependency, so that I can really breathe that in and release it.
I used to do something very similar. Interestingly enough, which is funny, I didn't remember it until right now, but I used to, when I was doing gratitude, like when I first sat down with Michael and like he was helping me get over my own addiction, he would tell me, like he would have me point out all of the like negative traits that I saw in somebody that I hated, and then he would basically just tell me that I had those traits. And you know, when you hear it for the first time, you're like, no, I don't have those traits. I'm not narcissistic. I'm not uncaring. I'm not abusive. And then you like start looking at your life, and you just seeing these moments where even if you're not at the level that you necessarily have these other people in your life, it's like, yeah, you have those tendencies, you have those traits. So when I started doing like gratitude, I would start with the people that I did not want to be thankful
where
for
the resistance
the most.
Was there.
I would start with
resist persists.
Yeah, and so
and
like
it's so true.
And so I would start with these people, and I'm not listing any names for a reason. I don't need to put that out there. But yeah, I would really focus in on that, and I would really like. It was so hard, especially because I was like doing it before bed, and like I used to have such horrible nightmares with some of these people in it, and like the aggression that we would have. Like, so it was like I was always so worried.
My
and
dreams trying to work all that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one of those last night.
Yeah, so did Michael a few days ago. He had one of those dreams.
Talking to
you know what's really
dreams.
funny? What's really funny though? We can transition to me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So.
He's like, I have so much to tell you.
Well, so what's really funny is that like Michael had a dream the other day, and it was like it was a horrible nightmare. There he is. That's my puppy, guys. He's being cute and annoyed. But so Michael had a really bad dream the other day, and like in retrospect, it's so funny because he's had like his energy's been off the last couple days, and it's literally like he's like, when I finally proposed yesterday.
Oh, that's such a. Oh man, did you really just say it like that?
Again. I did the same thing in the first one, so I did it twice the same way, just to irritate Gabby, and it worked.
So, no.
Okay, so.
No. All right. Well, tell him.
Okay,
Tell him the story. So Josh is getting married.
Well,
and he proposed, and he got him a ring, and there was all kinds of good stuff that happened along with it. This is the way we talk about proposals. It's so funny because I wore a ring for like 3 years, but I never considered myself engaged. I never referred to him as my fiance. I never said I was engaged.
Wasn't he married to somebody else?
Yeah, exactly. He was married to somebody else, and when they were getting their divorce, in the trial it came out that I bought my own ring, and then it became, oh, the ring was a fake. It was only $700, and then it was, I like to pretend that we were married and engaged, and that really irks me because, talk about needing to release some shit. I literally never referred to myself as engaged or to him as my fiance.
I like how Gabby just made my engagement
Your
about
engagement.
her.
Narcissist. Okay.
Breathe
So
in.
Breathe
Breathe
in my
in.
suffering. Breathe in my suffering. Send me relief.
So, okay, so
All right.
because I brought it up last time, Michael.
How did you propose? Tell them how we
so-
did it. He sent the ring to my house, by the way.
I did. I
Frank
said,
did.
yeah, Gabby accidentally opened it because it was.
Actually, my daughter did, but that's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
But I looked. I totally picked.
Oh, it's so pretty.
It
It's,
is really. It's like-
black.
It's appa colored. Black.
Hey, what are you doing? Sorry about that. So, I'm gonna.
Appa wants to get in. Appa was there for the proposal, right?
He was annoyed and sleeping, but
No, he wasn't. He was so
No.
happy for you.
so
He's so happy for his guys.
So this actually tracks back to the check-in. So I've not been doing well with the abstinence because
he bought a ring.
I bought the ring last time, but no, I didn't. Did I? I didn't buy the ring last
you
time,
bought
but I
the
talked
ring.
about it. But I talked about that I was going to put the ring on my credit card.
And you're holding the necklace that Michael wore, and this stuff has been going on the card too because it's a business expense, so
Yeah,
it needs to
so-
go on the card so
yep.
that they can reimburse themselves for it.
So yeah, I'm just gonna do this because it's
Appa's-
looks weird. So yeah, I've been putting like all of the work expense stuff or like some of the artistic stuff all on my credit card. So we went to Michael's yesterday. Michael's the store, not Michael's my boyfriend. My fiance.
say it again.
Fiance.
My fiance.
So
yes. Yes.
So I went and bought paint and stuff because I knew that I had like a lot of ideas of how I wanted to propose, but it all came down to I was going to I'm really getting into mixed media art, so I've been doing like printing out pictures from like comic books and like putting them on the paint and then painting around them and doing things like that to create some really cool artwork.
Decoupaging.
Yeah, Mod Podging.
And
But
Mod
yeah.
Podging and
So I got like Mod Podge, I got all this stuff because I really wanted.
Mod Podge is the brand for decoupage.
Oh, okay, decoupaging.
Yes.
So
Just to
thank you, Gabby, for
You
being
know.
right.
No, I want you to know what your art is.
So I knew that I wanted to like do this little design and I wanted to put "Will You Marry Me" on it, and I knew I wanted to have pictures of us as superheroes that like
gosh.
these artists have already drawn for the comic book that I want to put out. And
So Michael's sitting at the table and he's making these.
yeah, Michael's making our
these beautiful
blessed
necklaces.
beaded necklaces, which you can find at Serendipity Crystals here in Jersey City at 271 Newark Avenue, or online on Instagram at Jersey City Crystals.
Or, on
Yeah, just-
Josh or Michael
Yeah, or Josh.
at any time.
Yeah, you can just send us a DM and we'll make it. We'll make things happen for you. So he's putting this together, and I'm like painting and just like getting into my new paints and stuff like that. And I'm like sitting here drawing this. I got the things all set up, like the two Mod Podge and stuff on there. I got the background painted, and now I'm painting the Lionheart design, which is the name of the superhero that I do. And then I'm writing in paint, "Will you marry me?" And I see Michael is like in
Michael's at the table with him. And
He's
Josh
like
is
he's
there
doing his little
crafting.
thing, and so I turn the thing around. I turn it around, and I go over, and I start messing with my bag. It's like Michael's on his phone. I was like, "Hey, Michael, what do you think of my painting?" And like I'm messing on my bag right next to him in the chair, and Appa's on the other side because everyone's asking where Appa is. So Appa's like on the other side of us, and Michael's like, "Oh, babe, it's real beautiful," and I'm like, "Michael, look at the
my
painting."
painting.
So he looks at it, and like I open the box to the ring, and the ring like flops out, and I'm like I'm so nervous and so embarrassed, and he's like, "What?" And he looks down and sees the ring, and I was like, he's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, yeah, I'm serious.
And they're crying.
And then he's crying, and I'm crying, and
And
then
you did not abstain after that.
And then he looks at me and it says, "I knew there was money. I knew that there was money missing." And I was like, That's why I put it on the credit card. And he's like, yeah, but you haven't let me put anything on the credit card. I was like, I know, because I paid for the ring.
Because you maxed it out.
I didn't max it out.
Okay.
But, yeah.
You didn't max it out for the ring?
No. So our thing is that, like, I really wanted to get a ring and, like, propose. Because I want to, like, a year engagement is a good time frame, right?
Yeah.
So the plan...
He's lining up. Okay, by the way, Michael also turns 40 this week, and
Next week. Yeah.
and it is Josh and Michael's birthdays. So now their anniversary and their birthdays are lined up, and they're planning to get married around the same time. So that
no, it's the day.
never forget an anniversary.
Yeah. So
He's got it all
it's
lined up.
Michael's...
Of course, if anything ever goes wrong, you're
Nothing
screwed.
is gonna go wrong.
No,
Stop
you're
putting that out in the
okay,
universe.
Nothing will ever go wrong.
God, Gabby, just because you've been divorced and, like, dated a married man.
Everything has gone wrong.
Yeah, everything has gone wrong for you.
For me.
Let me have my happiness.
So protective of you.
But yeah, so it's gonna be Michael's birthday, my birthday, and then our wedding next year. Back to back like that. So we're gonna have, like,
Do I get to be the best man or the maid of honor? What do I get to be?
the photographer.
The old maid. I did photograph Appa's adoption day very well.
You did.
I must
All
say.
the important
I'm
days.
getting all the important days. I'm getting it together. You
Yeah.
could have lined me up. Okay, so this is what was wrong with Josh's
Oh
proposal.
yeah. So
Josh says to me that I'm going to propose to Michael, and I'm going to
Okay,
have
so
a
wait,
40th
wait,
birthday
wait.
party
Let me
and a
talk about
big
this.
event for him. And I'm like, but Josh, do you want to do it privately or are you going to do it publicly? And
I did say I wasn't sure. I did say I wasn't.
But even like the privately, you can. Okay, I saw this great engagement one time, and like
Now
my
she's telling me how I
friend-
did my engagement wrong.
My friend Melody and I take this walk, and we're sitting, and all of a sudden, we see this lady like taking photos of the sunset, and it's kind of nice. And then another woman and man come holding hands, and all of a sudden the woman is very like subversive, like she's pulling the hat down and she's got the trench coat on and she's taking photos of this woman. And then he gets down on one knee in front of the New York skyline at sunset, and she snapped all. And you could have lined that up, but why didn't you line that up?
Well, one, Gabby, you're not that discreet. Any sort of way.
I did wedding photography. I wore all black and did the whole.
No, but you couldn't be like, you would, your hat would be like this giant derby hat, and your cloak would be something, or your coat would be something that's like bright purple or something.
I totally have done more.
It'd be like a yellow hat and a bright purple, like, and she'd just be like,
I'm
snap,
blending.
snap, I'm blending.
I'm blending.
She'd have like a light, like a full lighting thing ready, like with a giant X.
I can totally do background, Josh. I really can. You.
Well, so I always like the idea of
So
somebody-
he had this plan,
yeah. So I wasn't sure
and
how I
he
wanted to
tells
do
me
it.
that the birthday is going to be a surprise. I'm like literally the only person that he didn't say it's a surprise, but you know, Gabby, I'm not very good at surprise.
Yeah, I didn't tell Gabby.
He didn't tell me that. So
I told everybody else except Gabby.
So I'm sitting down. We go to this really fun night
Oh
together
my God,
with
that was
all
so
the
much
friends
fun.
around, and I'm like, so guys,
What are you gonna do
what
for
are
your
you going to do for your birthday?
And we both look at it like, Gabby, we know what we're doing for our birthday.
I'm like, no, you don't. What
like,
did you do?
we do, Gabby. Yeah, we do, Gabby.
Michael's like, Josh told me already it's not a surprise birthday. So the ring.
I do want to make it.
The ring he literally had in his pocket for.
2 days.
No, you did not. It was not 2 days.
I got it on Sunday and I proposed on Monday night.
Okay, a day. Got it. Yeah.
It was over 24 hours, so there
You
was
made
that.
it. You made it. That's further than I thought. I thought you did it that day.
So I get so nervous about things like I was so nervous because, like, you know, my life with Michael's like an open book. Like, if he needs something out of my bag, I'll just tell him to go out of my bag. And I'm not one of those people who can be cunning or sly about it. Be like, oh, I'll grab it for you. I would be like, no, it's like right here, and then I would suddenly remember that the ring was in my bag. But yeah.
It was anxiety causing.
It was
He
anxiety.
had to get it over with. He's like, I'm internalizing this
It was so anxiety ridden. So, but
so
yeah,
it's gorgeous. It's your birthstone, right?
it is our birthstone, yeah, because we're
Have
both
the same.
So
emerald.
this is like a temporary ring. Like we do plan on getting other matching rings, and that's the plan. But I wanted
This is your engagement ring.
yeah, exactly. And
You wanted an engagement to happen.
yeah, and so actually what I want the goal for the next ring is that they're just inverted rings. So one will look one way and one will just be the inverted.
Yeah,
So
like you're the center to his donut hole.
yeah. So that was oddly provocative. Jesus.
Donut. He's your donut and you're the hole.
That's even worse, Gabby.
Not getting better.
you're the whole. That's what you're saying to everybody, Gabby.
And donut hole. They're delightful.
So
I love a good donut hole.
abstinence has been weird and hard and not at all happening in the Bell household.
Yeah. But really good stuff happening with it.
Yeah.
And the chapter was kindness.
Oh wait, I haven't
And-
finished with my counting.
Okay.
My counting.
You have counted.
So counting and morning pages, I did 5 out of 7 days.
how about your timeouts?
Timeouts 5 out of 7 days, and I'm trying to get back on track, which I'm just glad to be doing it. Like I've been doing my timeouts either on the train or I do it right in the morning. The other thing that I'm really getting into is Ayurveda, which I mentioned earlier, and it's
That
actually
is the ultimate in kindness, I think. Actually, in
Yeah.
terms of kindness, the chapter is kindness, and oftentimes what I think of for kindness is like what we were talking about with Tonglen.
Yeah.
That it's you're directing it at somebody else, but ultimately kindness is directed towards yourself and being kind to yourself. And Ayurveda is all about treating yourself.
It is.
It's listening to your body
yeah.
and giving it what it needs.
And I'm really like I really can't wait. I love this book, and I'm really glad that we get to finish it.
Yeah, we're getting really close.
We're getting really close.
We're getting really
and then we're
close.
moving into the listening path, which is like the same kind of thing, like really getting into listening, which I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, I mean, I feel like kindness starts. Actually, a really good way to put this is kindness starts with you, like taking the step and being present and not letting your past kind of like be toxic.
Yeah,
Um,
releasing.
Yeah, and releasing it. So Appa is so cute. His tail is like the reason why the camera is moving right now, if you're
It's
seeing this,
been-
is because Appa's tail is currently hitting the selfie stand that it's sitting on. There's just too many dogs, and they're all in Appa's range of sight, which he loves and hates at the same time. So yeah, I mean, I think kindness. There's a certain amount of kindness that happens with being present and just accepting things as they are.
It's also generosity to self. Like,
Yeah.
And that's what I've been really working in terms of finances. That's where my mind has been. I've had such a miserly, stingy attitude towards myself.
Yeah.
I do not spend money.
It's funny.
And I don't spend money, especially
Oh,
on me.
nope. So one of these things that's really funny is that you mentioned miserly, and what's interesting is we had this conversation as we're sitting out here actually with somebody that I met a long time ago at Two Boots, and she's one of Gabby's neighbors, and she came in and was telling about New Year's. That actually makes a lot of sense because we're talking about
Yeah,
you
New
dressing
Year's.
up. So, but like that ability to dress up and like do that and like give yourself that excuse is the other side of being miser. Is the like the positive archetype, whereas the miser would be like the negative one.
True.
The
And-
positive is like that glamour and that kind of aspect, and like.
And I do love dressing up, and it's been something that I've had to figure out for myself. I've always dressed up for other people, and enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed that. And then with COVID and with just teaching yoga and swim, I literally lived a year of my life in yoga pants or a swimsuit, which is
comfy.
It's very comfortable.
Well, and it says, so this is like, this is what we're like, a lot of what I feel like you've been learning over like when we've done the Artist's Way the last time, when you've done the Artist's Way the second time, and then moving into this is really finding ways to be kind to yourself as a whole. Like, I want to go out. It's going to be a lot of work, but like the going out is that kindness. The staying at home is not in that case.
It's the generosity of spirit and being generous to yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're stingy with yourself, you're going to be stingy with other people.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be stingy with love. You'll be stingy in other departments of your life. So learning financially, I have savings. I'm okay right now. I keep looking towards the future and the time that I won't be okay.
Yeah.
Rather than enjoying what I have right now.
Yeah, and there's where that like the compassion comes in. And I think there's like compassion and kindness go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like, because, so we were looking, Gabby and I were looking forward a little bit just because we were seeing what next week was, because we have a special guest star. What? Special guest star, what? We'll talk more about that later. But we looked, and like, forgiveness was the next chapter. And Gabby...
And we both went, ooh.
Yeah, forgiveness is hard.
Forgiveness.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's great, and it's yeah.
It's hard and
I find that it's the same access point for me. Forgiveness and kindness come from gratitude. And it was like you were talking about being present, being in the moment, and that Julia in this chapter is so present and so in the moment, which is so funny because obviously these things that like she didn't write this as it was happening. She's like looking back at this, so there's this kind of reverence to it as well, like a devotion to like the moments that she's had, which is beautiful, which is like a beautiful thing. Like as much fun as Gabby was making about my my engagement, there is that kind of reverence that comes with it from me personally. You know what I mean? Well,
like you can make fun of it with me, but like no matter
artistic and that there was a deep kindness to yourself. Artistically, you were being creative with this whole process of getting engaged. And it was a generosity of spirit to the other, and you got to really enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
You were right there, and you were really present in the moment, and you made him get present too.
Yeah, that was funny. That was really funny, yeah.
Get present! Ouch, that hurt.
Gabby's presence in her pain right now.
Hurt.
So one other thing we want to talk about, which isn't about kindness, was a funny aside that we found from this chapter was Julia talks about this dinner party she has and all of the different religions that people have, like Natalie Goldberg? By the way, also a great writer. Have you read Writing Down to the Bones?
No.
You should.
Okay.
It's fantastic. She's the one who made me realize I was a writer because of something that she wrote, and it was this other writer who basically wrote like, I can either sit down and write this page that I need to write, or I can kill myself.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Oh my gosh, I've been there.
Like, it's either I'm a writer or I need to like jump off a bridge because there's nothing else for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like totally butchering the quote, by the way, but it's a very beautiful quote, and it's in Writing Down to the Bones, Natalie Goldberg. But it's so funny because one friend's a Buddhist, one friend's like a devout Christian, and
she's a believer in God.
Yeah, she's a believer in God or the universe, and so it's
creator.
Creator. So it's really interesting seeing this because there's a little bit of an elitist idea of like not my way or the highway, but like.
Well, she's talking about. She's at the table and she's saying, her friend says that there is no God in Buddhism. Are you taking it to the page so I can get this right?
You can keep talking though.
So her friend's saying that we don't have a God in Buddhism, and that we kind of, it all goes kind of back to self.
Is it right here?
No, crystals. Sorry, I thought I saw Buddhists, but I think the Buddhist was a butt. My Buddhist was a butt. Buddha belly.
I don't believe God wants me to do a job I hate. Is that it?
No, that's not it.
Right before that? Okay. Keep talking. We have to keep talking.
Okay, so
Okay, no God.
Elitists believe that we possess the keys to our own enlightenment, Natalie says.
I turned out the window to the pinyon trees. Tiny birds were still lighting on the feeders. Surely a God must have made them. A God must have made everything.
A little elitist.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Julia is a theist, Bill announced. I am, I concurred. But there's a whimsy to it, and I'm like, I honestly believe that as much as I understand Buddhism and like the idea of oneness. The thing is that there's no, like, in my own personal view, I don't think there's any difference between what Julia believes and what Natalie believes. And I honestly think that she's being a little coy here because she also believes that. It's just how they're both presenting it. Because they're both very intelligent women. They're both very open, and they're both creators.
Well, I love that it all comes down to pie in the end, because everything comes down to pie.
Yes.
For me,
it's all
she
about
the pie.
More pie, and the next quote is, "It's all divine." Pie is divine. That's what we've learned about this chapter.
The divinity of pie.
The divinity of pie.
Yep. I'm a believer, and you know what? Pie is also infinite.
So, the kindness to self, which is
Never laughs at my jokes.
Gabby did send me a really funny. It was National Cream Pie Day, and like I totally took it the wrong way because there's
Mother's Day, and you're supposed to go Happy Mother's Day back, but no, I said National Cream Pie, Coconut Cream Pie.
Yeah, but I saw National Cream Pie Day, and there's a certain genre, there's a certain subsection of porn that fits that.
I don't know this. I don't know that I needed to know this, but
I'm so red right now, guys, because I shouldn't have brought this up because I didn't want to bring it up.
Now I'm gonna have to. I have all the more reason to celebrate National Coconut Cream Pie Day.
So there's this really interesting part in this the kindness to self. 1 second, there's a car going by. This is the downside of recording things outside.
Which Josh loves being on my stoop.
I do love being on our stoop. But there mentions that it's easier to be kind to my children than it is to myself. And Julia responds, yes, and when you are kind to yourself, it is good for your children. There's this idea that, especially in a lot of the spiritual or enlightened communities, that you have to, that there's suffering involved in progressing yourself spiritually. Like, you shouldn't be making money because you're spiritual, and you shouldn't be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that because you're spiritual.
Self-flagellation.
Yeah, self-flagellation.
If you take it one step further, it's
and I mean even
actual harming of self.
And I feel like the same way Christianity can be at times is like it makes it seem like you have to suffer because if you're suffering, you're not because if you're not suffering, you're not like feeling the glory that is Christ.
Sex only for procreation.
Sex only for procreation. And I'm shaking my head.
No.
So there is this idea that I love this idea that you need to be taking care of yourself, and you need to be showing yourself kindness, and you need to be showing yourself compassion, and also compassionate to Appa so he doesn't make noise during your podcast. But you need to show this kind of compassion, this kindness to yourself, because in doing that, you
replenish.
It's like what we were talking about earlier.
Restore and you replenish.
I believe it was this take.
If you're kind to yourself, then you're a kinder human being to all others as well.
Yes, because you're also yet again living by example. We did do that this time, right? This wasn't take one.
No, that was take one.
That was take one.
He did not. You did not give them living by example.
Oh, that was a new take.
That was take one. That was a different take.
Oh.
New take.
So
take on it.
I was talking about living. Are you sure it was this one?
I'm positive.
Oh, I was talking about living.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
But then it happened.
If I didn't say this at the beginning of the podcast, because I'm not going to go back in the editing process and doing this.
Well, you don't have it.
Yeah.
You can't edit.
No, I meant editing, looking back and then moving forward.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's that living by example so that other people will take that in to themselves and see it. Which I think was this time. Because I think I mentioned the vegan thing this time. That was this time. But yes, so
Okay.
where are we at?
It's cool to be kind.
It is cool to be kind.
And there's listening. How are you with your listening, Mr. Josh?
I'm bad at listening. I'm
We're
like
gonna do the listening path next.
Yeah, we're doing the listening path next, which will hopefully open me up a little bit. I'm trying to, like, my thing is to really continue to, like, plant my feet for the rest of this book, and I'm really glad with how I've been doing with the counting.
Listening, though, is truly being in the moment.
Yeah,
It's not waiting to respond. It is listening to what's happening now. And that's that's been your point about so much of this, is that to truly be kind to yourself is to live in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's what we were gathering from Julia's writing through all of this, is that she's so present and she's so in the moment.
Yeah.
And that is the gift.
Well, and
the moment is the gift.
And what's so beautiful about it is there is a presence in even looking back. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's like looking back and reliving these scenes, like with her, like this conversation she's having about religion, or the opening scene.
Because who doesn't want to look back at pie?
The opening scene where she's
cream pie.
The opening scene where she's talking about this woman putting together a juicer and like the devotion to the juicer, which is amazing. I want a juicer so bad. Wedding gifts, people, a juicer.
A juicer. She
So
wants to juice it all out.
I do. Yeah, there's this
cream pie.
there's this presence in all of this.
Won't laugh at my jokes.
I ignored that joke. Actually, I didn't hear it. So yeah, I definitely did do these prosperity points. Ooh, let's do a couple of them, okay?
Okay.
I'll pick one and you pick one?
Let's just do one. I'm good for one.
Okay.
Let's just list 10 luxuries under $20.
Let's do, can we do 5 each?
Okay.
We'll do 5 each, okay. 10 luxuries under $20. Fresh strawberries.
Okay. Coffee at Into the Void.
This podcast is so much fun. That's under $20.
My stoop is free.
Ooh, yes.
Totally free.
Okay, so we're at, you've done 2, I've done 2. Under $20.
The Walk with Alpha and Kelly. Sorry.
Oh, yep, I'll do that. I would do that. So the Walk with Alpha and Kelly. I would also say watching TV, because no matter what subscription service I'm using is under $20 individually. Except Netflix, which I think is 21 now because stupid Netflix.
Stupid Netflix.
Technically, my HBO Max, which is what I watch the most of, is in my AT&T bill. So
a hot bath. Love hot baths. And a hot bath with a cup of tea. So good.
Reading comics. I've been reading so many comics.
Even buying a comic can be under $20. You can do a trip to the comic store and a comic and read that comic, all for under $20. That's just a lot of good stuff there.
What else?
And that's like favorite things type of stuff.
I don't know if it's under $20. I think in the grand scheme of things it's under $20, but painting, I love painting. The reason why I say it's not under $20 is because
it depends on how that that one's the hard. It's a hard tally because it could be no money if you
because
have
I already bought everything.
You already have it.
But like yesterday, I spent like $60 on everything. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But if you dole that $60 out over 6 times,
yeah,
that's under $20 time.
Appa-see's a bird, and it is adorable because he's like staring at it.
Under $20. There you go.
Yeah, that's
Appa and the bird.
Appa and the bird.
Appa and the bird.
Okay.
Under $20. Appa and the dog. I gotta go get Kelly and walk her again. She's probably gonna,
Oh,
Appa,
this is great. I love this one. Okay, so one of these is gonna be so much fun. Name 3 people whom you see regularly but whose names you don't know. This week, find out and use their names.
All the neighbors today, right? I literally whispered to him. He's chatting up a neighbor.
And like we're having an in-depth
really
conversation.
Great conversation. And it's the first time I've ever met her, and she's lovely. I actually did meet her, but only on New Year's, and we had a really great conversation about New Year's.
And I've known her for ages because she comes into the pizza shop that I work at. Appa.
And so she walks away, and I'm like, "What's your name?"
And I was like, "I don't know."
So, wanting 3 names this week.
3 names, yes.
names for all the neighbors.
So yeah, we'll talk about prosperity points next week.
Okay.
So next week, Appa. Next week we have a very special guest. We're talking about forgiveness, and I don't want to go too much into it because I'll have her do her bio next week. But our lovely friend that I've yet again somebody I've known whose name I only knew
Through book group.
through book group. Yet again, somebody I met at Two Boots. Appa. But she's going to be with us next week as we talk about forgiveness. So
Yeah.
what we'll do is we will talk about the check-ins. We'll talk about the chapter, and we'll bring her in as we go through some of the prosperity points that we have to her that she can go over. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's our first guest for this season.
What? Aside from Appa. Appa,
And
you were
Kelly.
a terrific guest star
And
today.
Kelly. Oh my
And
God,
Kelly.
Kelly was a guest star all over my face. Okay, so.
All right.
Okay, we gotta
And
run.
With that,
We gotta run.
Do.
So same bat time, same back channel next week. Love you all. Bye.
Love you.